Get everybody's attention. So good afternoon to the folks in the room here at Motlow State main campus, and then all the folks remotely. We appreciate you joining us today. I'm Joey Hatch, Regent for the Tennessee Board of Regents. I got to tell you, this is my fourth day in a row to come to the main campus at Motlow. I finally made it today without the help of Siri, so I'm proud of that. I was able to schedule to be here 2 times this week in the morning for the breakfast reception, and then 2 times for the open forum. And I want to congratulate all of you for your hospitality. This is really a beautiful campus, and I can tell you, whoever gets the job here, they're going to come to work in a great atmosphere. And on top of that, I've made a new friend this week, Dr. Frank Glass. I know all of y'all know him. So we found out we've got a pretty cool guy in common that was a college roommate of his a long time ago, and then kind of a boss of mine in the business. So anyway, we're glad to have you today. We've got Dr. John Mandrell. I'm going to read his short bio. I'll urge you to get on the TBR website and look at the survey, and please fill that out. I'll remind you again afterwards to do that. So that's for the folks remote and in the room. That's the best way you can help the process right now is to put your opinions out there. So please do that. So with that, I'll read this. Dr. John Mandrell comes to Motlow College with a varied background in higher education and law enforcement. Dr. Mandrell currently serves as the Vice President of Academics and Student Services at Sauk Valley Community College in Dixon, Illinois, a position he's held since 2014. From 2012 to 14, Dr. Mandrell was the Dean of Instruction, and from 9 to 13, he was the Assistant Professor of Criminal Justice, all at Sauk Valley. He began his career track in higher education as an adjunct instructor teaching criminal justice, juvenile delinquency, and cultural diversity in criminal justice, again at Sauk Valley. From 03 to 09, Dr. Mandrell was a police corporal for the Oregon Police Department in Oregon, Illinois. He earned a bachelor's and master's from Western Illinois and a doctorate of education from Ferris State. Because you've joined us, you will have an opportunity. Well, I just talked about that evaluation, so please do that. He's going to make a short statement, and then we're going to open it up for questions. So with that, Dr. Mandrell.
This range right here, and don't go any further, because I love to get around the room and I love to talk to people. So just a little bit about myself. I'll say that one of the toughest parts about these days is that I'm supposed to talk about myself, and I just want to I want to hear about you guys and all the great work you're doing. So I'm from Dixon, Illinois. That's about 90 miles, 100 miles west of Chicago. That is the land of Ronald Reagan. His hometown. I grew up in that area. And I will tell you from the bottom of my heart, I owe my life to community colleges. The transformation that I've seen in my life has been as a part of the great work that we all have done working for a community college and serving our students. So my life, I'll just tell you straight, from the beginning, started at a community college actually at the age of 4. We joke around at my college and say I have 500 credit hours. I don't, but what I'm trying to say is that my mother back in the day, after she had 3 children, I was the youngest of 3 boys, wanted to access community college, and one of the great hallmarks of a community college is the wonderful access that we serve to all. And she realized, I want to go back to college, and she brought me along for the ride. I was one of those kids who was in the daycare, believe it or not. So 40 years later, nearly 40 years later, here I am through that journey. That experience, even as a young child, stuck with me. And I always knew that I wanted to serve the community college, serve the community. And I became a student at the college. I became a work study at the college. I met my wife at the college, who is here with me today, but she's out checking out the community right now. I wish she was here with me. And she will tell you a totally different story about how we met and how I did not ask her out when I was supposed to. Mine is the right one, by the way, unless she says it's wrong, and then she's right. So years later, after we graduated and went on to a new career, she went on as an educator, and I went into police work because I wanted to dig deep into a field that really served the community and connected and got to see some of the community's biggest problems. And But I always felt myself gravitating right back to the community college, and I became a police officer. And it didn't take long, even as a police officer, to take the opportunity to come back to community college as an adjunct faculty member. A very pivotal time in my life in which I was right on the front lines with students, and I got to see exactly what we're about, which is we are about transformation. We're in the hope business. We change people's lives. We change families' lives. We are amazing economic catalysts for our communities, and to be a part of that was something I just have a lifelong passion for and have not wavered in that. I even proposed to my wife at our community college. There's a bench at our college that my current president, Dave, he's probably watching today, if he's out there, Dave, we talk about, I'm taking that bench with me when my opportunity comes. So that is mine. So my wife is a high school principal, just finished her doctorate, so she's out today actually checking out some local high schools, and our dinner table conversation's fascinating, by the way. She comes home, she talks about high schools and student success, and I come home and I talk about college. And I have two daughters. I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. I will tell you I was an expert in parenting until I had children. Yeah, we all know that feeling. Who can resonate with that, right? I have somewhat of a new baby at home. He's a 90-pound chocolate lab. Any of you have one of those creatures, by the way? So have a fairly new dog at home. We are a total community college family. We're all about both of us were raised serving the community and really having the opportunity to engage in all stakeholders. So what I love about community college is all that it does. All the families it serves, all the industry members, that well-oiled machine that I often call it, the civic organizations, that I just simply can't get enough of and I've never been able to get enough of. But deep, deep within all of that are the amazing relationships that we have with our students, our faculty, our staff. It's really about relationships. I am so swept off my feet, almost speechless when I talk to students about the experience they've had at our colleges. How many of you attended a community college? Raise your hand. Yeah, there it is right in front of our eyes again. We see that transformation even in our own lives. We see what we do for our students. We have this amazing ability to engage in them and prepare for not only just today's learners, but learners of all. One of our greatest challenges is certainly serving all, but it's also the greatest thing we do. I can remember when I taught, even as an adjunct faculty member, when I was brand new. How many remember your first year of teaching, for those of you that teach? There's no other year like it, is there? So the second year might be much different because of how many adjustments you made and just all the different ways that we serve our students and making sure that we take care of them. As a part of that, I can remember really getting to see exactly how we change and enhance the quality of life in our community. Working with students who they're going in all different directions, different ages, diversity, and many of them who go on to do incredible things. They come back to our colleges and still say it was the greatest learning experience they ever had. It's a phenomenal thing. It's an awesome responsibility for us to be able to do that. Probably close to 6-7 years ago, I was asked to look at an administrative position, and the administrative position really was about managing all of the adjunct faculty, some career technical funding, and was in charge of a lot of curriculum. And I thought, you know, I don't know if I want to leave teaching yet, but I feel like I want to lead at the highest level I possibly can in the community college, and I want to get to know even more people. I want to be internal and external as much as I can be and engage others. And I did that, and I had this amazing job of working with adjunct faculty. Because I can remember when I was an adjunct, I didn't even potentially sometimes know where the copy machine was, or exactly how to handle student issues. I mean, they're quite complex, and we want every student coming back to us. And it's really important that we have a very personal touch with our students and our faculty and all of our many stakeholders. But in teaching right away, I realized I'm back, and I'm going to stay forever again. In the community college. At the time I was a police officer, my chief of police said, "You're gone next year, aren't you?" And I said, well, my wife's in education. I'm one of the many lives that have been transformed from the community college. I want to be here and I want to be a part of this awesome responsibility. Everything from working across the college is very, very important to me, including those relationships and the trust that's developed. So I became a full-time faculty member, became tenured, and had a great experience with that. In my administrative career, I was on the academic side until about 3 or 4 years ago. The president at the time said, I really want you to take a look at this opportunity to essentially be a provost, work between both sides. And we were like a lot of colleges quite often at times. We had silos, not working among the departments at all the time, and I had an opportunity to really come in there and work on all sides of it and serve. And I had a tremendous experience with that, and that's the position that I'm currently in right now. And I really enjoy the engagement, though, and being able to be on the front lines of working with people and making sure that we not only have an amazing student experience, but an amazing employee experience. That's very important. And over the last couple of years, I've really sharpened my skills in fundraising and working with donors and alumni, and working with K-12 principals, superintendents. Many people sometimes call me a workaholic, but what I oftentimes call it is I'm just always sharpening. I love studying the community college, and as I told somebody today, I love studying our competition. Right now, it's a real, some of our biggest challenges in community colleges are, why is everybody not coming to us like they used to? There's so much competition and access out there. It's a beautiful and exciting time, but how do we keep those students right here with us? Have you ever had a conversation with your community about retention rates? Quite oftentimes they're shocked when they find out that fall to fall, half of our students don't come back. And why don't they come back? Well, we sit and we talk about that, and there's these really tough challenges right now of wanting to control some of that. Students leave us for reasons like employment, and we have students that are going through some really tough personal life issues. Some of them they move. They have so many different ways in which they exit our campus. How do we keep those students? And how do we engage our industry and our community in doing that, and really having a real strong shared governance model, to which we've got this well-oiled machine that I often talk about, and having an awesome place for a student experience and a great place for an employee experience too. So I can't leave this area. I would love to come around and get closer to you all and talk to you and find out about what your passions are. I'd love to hear what you're most proud of. And feel free to ask me anything at all. And I would like to ask me, I'll go ahead right out from the beginning. Everybody always asks me, are you related to Barbara Mandrell? So my brother, I'm no stranger to Tennessee, by the way. My brother lived in Jackson, Tennessee for 15 years, was a pastor there, Inglewood Baptist Church, if you've heard of it, large church. He got that question all the time. And one time he sent me a picture of him with Louise Mandrell, and he said, I found her, we're family. So the short answer to that is yes, my grandfather and her father are second cousins. But isn't there at some point on the family tree where you're no longer related? I'm probably right in there, but I always tell people I'm working on the Mandrell sisters being a donor to the college. That's really an opportunity we can't let go. So I'll get that out of the way here as well, and I'd love to hear more about you all and what you're most proud of too. And I'll ask you questions back. If you don't ask me, I will go into faculty mode.
The first question is one of the suggestions we had yesterday. When you get a question, if you would summarize that.
Say it back, no problem. And I want to say hello to everybody up on the screen there as well. I'll say I used to teach classes like this to other campuses, and I always called it the Las Vegas eye in the sky. If somebody were texting or something in the back, I'd zoom up on them, and then they would see it and they would drop it. So I want to have some fun today. I think that's really important, and feel free to ask me anything. I think it's an important process for you. You've had a long week. It's quite a marathon, a presidential search, I know. And if my wife comes, which I hope she does, feel free to ask her questions too. She's got a lot of energy, maybe more than me.
Dr. Mandrell, Dr. Mandrell, I'm Janice Harder. I'm a retired professor from Motlow. And you mentioned that you had become involved with fundraising, I think in your current job. So what role have you played in making direct solicitations, face-to-face solicitations with potential donors? And if you have been involved with those, what's the largest donation you have been responsible for securing?
Sure, and that's a great question. That's become a very, very important component of a president today is the donorship. And I want to take just a step back and say the most important part of donorship is relationships. Friend raising, as they even call it too. But you have to have the relationship with those people. You never go and make the ask, as they say, be the first time. You've got to have that relationship with them. So to talk about opportunities, I want to emphasize too as well, very few times I try to say I, because we do so much as a team and a collaboration, and a lot of what we do in a community college is who you know, relationships, and being able to mobilize our team and work really jointly together. So to get to answer your question, I've been involved in many initiatives with fundraising, with donorship. About a month ago, I've been working with many manufacturers, which is a real passion of mine. My father and all the males in my family before me, we all worked for a steel mill, so manufacturing is really important to me. It's a huge part of our programs. It's a part of the sort of the lifeblood of manufacturing programs too, is us being able to provide workforce development. And we have to do that by having cutting edge technology. So I've been working with a group of manufacturers over the last couple months on fundraising initiatives to really enhance the services that we provide, get into the high schools even more, have equipment at the high schools because we know that we want them earlier than ever. And had the opportunity to work with one of our college's greatest donors and go to breakfast with him and one of our lead manufacturers and have that conversation about donation. And when I had that conversation, we received, I want to be very confidential here, about a very nice sum of money and on a reoccurring basis to help us. Not only just one time are we asking you to make a donation, but down the road, all the different ways in which they can be a part of helping us even more and seeing how their money makes a difference. When we all receive phone calls to be donors, we want to know what lives are we going to change? How is that going to work? How is it impactful? So I've had the opportunity to sit with many of our key leaders and also those who want to donate back to the college as well. Relationships is really big on that. Another initiative is I work really closely with our foundation. Our foundation has gone through some really tough times. Probably 10 years ago, probably facing the most difficult times they'd ever had. We're really doing without a lot, and they had to change direction quickly. And we really infused myself. I wanted to be at the table for that, knowing that down the road I would be in a position just like today to be able to talk about donorship and to talk about fundraising and advancing in scholarships. The foundation has turned around. They're now at a $6.2 million endowment, and the way I've been at the table for that is I work with them real closely and I say, these are the programs, these are where our key stakeholders are, here are where those donors are, here are where those relationships are. For example, last year we created an ag program. We really needed an ag program, and the way we built that was from the ground up, and I would let the community come in almost like on a day like right now and said, do we need ag in our community? And we had this kind of conversation. And then we talked about all the different ways in which an ag program is supported, from the curriculum to the equipment to leveraging resources, and a huge part. And during that opportunity, we had an opportunity to have collaboration with people and have them say, I can do this for the college. I was an alum of the college. I can do this as well. And then there's, I will say, just about a month ago, we find out that we've nurtured all these relationships with people at the college that we didn't realize left us things, amazing gifts. $500,000 was recently donated to our college because of all of the great outreach and friendships we'd had over the years with those families that we don't find out about until perhaps, unfortunately at the end of their lives. But I'm very strategic, I'm very careful about donors as well. We have to make sure that we're not asking too much. We have to make sure everybody sees value in their money, and we have to make sure that we are out there talking to them. If you look at why quite oftentimes people do not donate to the college, they've never been asked. Have you ever heard that before? And actually I found myself in that position before too, where somebody said, how come you haven't donated to, and I'll say, well, nobody really ever asked me to do that. Do I donate to my college? Yes, absolutely. We have a great giving campaign now across our college. I've been right there with others, and I think nobody does anything alone. And one of the great things about our community colleges, and I tell other administrators this too, do not feel that when you get your greatest challenge in front of you, you have to do this alone. Let's do it as a team. So I've been at the table for many, many different things in terms of asks and also campaigns too. Not just let's go talk to them and see if they'll donate money to the college and help us. Let them see the value in it. Let them be at the table. Do they want to be foundation members now as well? I think that's really important. Do they want to? I have a donor recently who wants to be an adjunct faculty for us. There are so many different ways it goes beyond the fundraising, but the fundraising is going to be huge because we have tremendous growth going on here at Motlow, and we've got great facilities that we've got to provide for students, and those facilities are about student success. So to get back to your question though, many different occasions. I do want to be careful with confidentiality for some of the people I've donated to our college. I can't particularly say who they are, how much they donated to the college, particularly because it's been in the news lately, but most of it gets back to working really closely with your foundation, making sure that you're nurturing relationships, and engaging all different people across the college to come and be a part of it.
Next question.
Oh, sure, will do.
I'm Mandrell. I'm Frank Glass. I'm the former president here at the college.
Great, nice to meet you.
Closer? Okay. Describe for us your decision-making processes, thinking skills, and what was the most difficult professional decision you've ever made?
The question is, describe my decision-making skills and some of the most difficult professional decisions I've had to make. My decision-making is really built very closely around the students. What do we do? Students first. What do we do to make the students most successful here at the college? And that all ties into the mission, the vision, and the values of the college. So look very closely at their strategic plan. Motlow has a beautiful strategic plan. It's tied very closely to things like Drive to 55. It has metrics on it that says we're going to retain and complete X amount of students by 2025. Those are great things. So when I talk with others about what do we need to do in terms of budgets, we look at students first. What do we do to make the students most successful first? We look at our strategic plan, our mission. Some of the most difficult decisions I've had to make, sometimes do involve things like I work at a college where we can determine tuition. Those are tough conversations to have because when you increase your tuition, you take a risk of losing students. Other tough topics are things like dual credit. Those are very tough conversations to have. Dual credit is a part of the college planning process today, and it's growing. We have students as young as 14, 15-year-olds taking our classes. I had a student about 2 months ago who was 11 years old, wanted to enroll. Dean of Student Services calls me and says, "This one's yours." That's a great thing about what we do, is being able to serve all. But the decision making, really look at priorities. Don't always look at the data. The data is very important too, but look at what your mission, your vision is. Look at what your industry members are telling you. Are these things that you need? We need to be serving today's students. We need to be serving industry, and quite oftentimes 2 years ahead of them so that we have things in place for our students. Dual credit's a tough one because we have to, it is growing, it's booming. It's about 20% of the enrollment at our college. It's become a very common part of the college planning process, yet it can be seen as a threat to our college too at times. It can, if students are taking so many courses already at the high school level before they come to us at the college level, we know that's going to potentially hurt the loads of here. So that's been a really tough decision to make, but this much I know, with competition and access being the way that it is, if we don't serve that population, and our mission's about access, somebody else will. So we have to make sure that we are serving all of our population and that we really are about access. Another tough decision is staffing. Staffing's a really tough thing, and you do it based on student needs and demand. I come from a state, if you're familiar with Illinois, for 2 years we did not have a state budget. One of the toughest challenges I maybe ever had in my professional career, where a third of your budget is missing, millions of dollars for 2 years in a row because of political gridlock. And our president, our administration, and I were really tasked with keeping morale up and making sure that we were serving the students. So a lot of anxiety of, am I going to lose my job? Do I have to wear 3 hats to work here anymore? Those are really tough decisions. How do we serve the student? And the way that I've looked at that is, let's just look at today. Let's look at what it's going to look like tomorrow and beyond for tomorrow's learner and our faculty and our staff. For example, online programs are booming everywhere. They're booming at my college, they're booming here. But one thing we really have to take a look at in terms of staffing for tomorrow, what are we doing to support online learners? How many of you, for those of you that teach or even had an online class, I don't know, got an email at 2 in the morning from a student looking for help? Yeah, that's today. So as the evolution of higher ed continues, we need to be able to provide things like tutoring services for online learners. So having to now reposition staffing so that we've got things like online tutoring. We use a program called Net Tutor. I've talked to a few of you about it. It's fantastic. It's really done a great job for our students. But student success is number one. Relationships are number one to me. I've had to make a lot of tough decisions over the years, sometimes in the ways of athletics. You know, when we look at athletics are great. If you want to get me talking about passion, I love sports, by the way. We oftentimes, when we look at athletics, I get challenged about what are we doing with athletics? What are we doing with budgets there? How is that serving our students? That is another population of our students that we're serving. They come to us for a great athletic experience. They come to us for a great academic experience. And being able to provide those services really is critical. And we have to make sure all the time, and I'll wrap this up right here so I'm not rambling, but we are a comprehensive community college. We sometimes have to make decisions to serve populations that may be small, but that's what we do. I've got programs that I manage that they're small, but they're serving a great population out in our community. And we've got to make sure that we provide that access, and we've got to make sure that we have things like the arts, which oftentimes in athletics can come under fire during tough budget times. But to answer your question, mission, student success, values, that ties us all together. And relationships, that's really key.
One on the front row.
Hi, I'm Megan McManus. I'm the Curriculum Chair for Languages Department and the QEP Director. As you may know, Motlow just went through the re-accreditation process with Sauk COC. As President, what emphasis would you place on accreditation and strategic planning?
So the question is what emphasis would I place on accreditation and strategic planning? That's very important. That's a lot about our credibility. It's a lot about our institution's effectiveness, the great work that we do here. As we know, accreditation takes a lot. It's a lot of work across the entire college, and it's representative of our great work. It is an exhausting process, but it is a very worthwhile process. We talk often about accreditation just in terms of our standing. So when we get those questions from outsiders as well, how are we accredited? Is this an accredited institution? Show me how you've done that. It's a beautiful thing. Accreditation is a wonderful opportunity for everyone in the college to learn more about your college. I can remember we just wrote what's called a quality assurance argument for HLCs who we're accredited by, and you have to show all this evidence, of course. And you find yourself going, we do that? That's amazing. I'm so happy to hear we do that, because you know maybe somebody never had exposure to that. So accreditation is key, and it's not just key to the college itself, the programs, nursing programs, EMT programs, all those programs, that's really critical to industry too. We want to be accredited, we want to be the best, and we do that through accreditation, and it comes slowly but surely, but we never take our eye off of it, and it's very important, and without a doubt, priority.
Welcome, Dr. Mandrell. Coming to the state of Tennessee, I'm sure you know of a lot of the initiatives that are out in front of us. Tennessee Promise, Tennessee Reconnect, Complete to Compete, being funded solely on completion. Can you talk to us a little bit how you will lead us forward as a college to be successful with all the initiatives on our plate without watering down education or taking anything away from that experience?
Sure. That's a long one to repeat. So in sum, the question is, with all the initiatives going on across the state, how will I unite and work with us all together in success of that? Is that probably a good summary? A lot of initiatives going on, very progressive state. It's one of the reasons I'm here. It's an amazing opportunity to be a part of the great things you're doing. But we know that managing change can be kind of tough, and the accountability era for community colleges here, where we really have to show, and I love when we get challenged as community colleges, when somebody says, I bet you can't do that. We can do that. We do a lot really well. So I love when I hear that. In Illinois, we have an initiative called 60 by 25. That's very close to Drive to 55 is what you have here. Just shot a video on that a few weeks ago back home, actually, working on that at the state level too. The idea there, what brings us together, is creating a shared vision. What excites us, and what do we have to do to be better than yesterday and then be better for tomorrow? So professional development is really key in that you have the opportunity to grow professionally and personally every day here. And make no mistake about it, some of the most brilliant people in your lives are in this room right now. We do a great job of educating each other and having models for continuous improvement and professional development. So when you think about where we have to go, we have to learn about that, and we have to find out how are we best positioned and put people successful for that. I had a question this morning about organizational structure and what I thought about that, and one of my answers to that is putting in exactly where our strengths are. What do we do that's best for the students always, but what do we do to advance ourselves every day in a model of continuous improvement? So you look at Drive to 55, you look at things like Promise as well, Tennessee Reconnect, incredibly exciting. These are amazing opportunities for us to transform lives and really be pioneers in our country that others have not taken on. It's an amazing, amazing and awesome responsibility. So how do we do it together? Trust, relationships, a lot of conversation. Team building, I know I say that and people go, oh, is that like those icebreakers? No, that comes through repetitiveness of getting to know each other and engaging each other in honest, tough conversation. We've got to be able to have uncomfortable conversations. I think that's a part of leadership. Be willing and be comfortable to say something honestly to somebody. I learned early on as a police officer that I was going to have to learn how to create a safe zone for people to talk. Say what you have to say it critically, but say it professionally. And you know, I always said police officers have this great, wonderful tools on their belts, but really the best thing they do is their spoken word. How do we talk to each other and have a level of comfort and engagement? And sometimes it comes with going backwards for a little bit. We have to talk, we have to say things that are honest, look at the history, but quickly move forward and have that shared vision. So the way we do that is we mobilize our teams. We make sure that our people are at the table for the most meaningful and purposeful conversations that we can have in our communities. That also will aid in diversity. We look at our colleges, we're really short on diversity. How do we do that? We go out and have conversations with people we've never had before. We've got to engage those leaders. They're all over our communities. That's very important. So we can do things like look at data, that's important, but making sure we've got people to their strengths, working, mobilized in teams, and having that shared vision together is very important. And make no mistake about it, professional development's a huge part about that, but feeling great about your work, that's really important. One of the awesome things I love about the work that I've been able to do in my life, I come home every night to my family and to my kids, and we get to have great stories and talk about the lives we changed today. My wife and I, to be on the front lines of working with community college students in industry and K-12 districts, it's an amazing, incredible thing, and we do that all as one, but we have to be willing to have honest conversations and mobilize our teams built on professional development. So if I know somebody is really an expert in this area and they want to go and lead that, we want them. We want people to lead and we want people to grow. Growth of others is really important in leadership.
Dr. Mandrell, hi, I'm Dwayne Brown, the bookstore manager. And I've asked this question of the other candidates. Something that's very important to me is integrity. My model growing up, I had teachers, pastors, my parents were the best model. They didn't just tell it, they modeled it. I had a job several years ago. I've been there just 2 weeks, and the owner brought me in and he said, we hired you. Some other people found out you're making more than they are, 25% more. So we're gonna have to cut you 25%. And it was just 25%, but I marked him as somebody they couldn't trust. Now he got to be well known in the community. About 2 years later, some people in the community came, they took his picture for the paper, and they invited him to stay with them for a while. They were police officers. They got him for tax evasion. And some numbers across his chest. He might have been listening to too much Barbara Mandrell.
Oh, that's a...
And probably thinking, you know, if love and money is wrong, I don't want to be right. But anyway,
I'm going to talk to her about that.
there you go. My question to you, do you have those models growing up that taught you integrity, maybe some stories that you remember? Also, have you been put in a position and asked to do the wrong thing Could you share how you stood up to them? And then also, could you talk about how you model integrity and demand it of those around you?
Sure. So I think the question really is about integrity, examples of it, sort of mentors or models that I've had, and examples that I've been engaged in integrity, and when I've been challenged, really. So I think that's a good way to sum it up. I will say integrity first, always, without a question. Our ethics, our integrity are challenged every day as individuals and professionals. Without a question, we will always do what is the best for our integrity, and that gets back to having a great place to work. When you feel great about what you do and being able to execute your integrity in the ways that are appropriate and your values, that gets back to having that strong team. I'll say, in both the careers I've had academically and also in law enforcement as an administrator too in the community college, there's been several times where integrity has been challenged. And I will say talking about integrity sometimes comes with confidentiality, so I want to be careful here when I tell stories. I can remember I had an adjunct faculty member that was really not serving our students well, is how I'll say it, for the sake of his confidentiality. And I was told I had to let that person go. It was kind of a directive that I was given. And I did that, and that person was very much a very active and affluent political figure in our community, but had to do it. It was very tough, and I maintained that by making sure that this person knew firsthand exactly why we had to separate, but letting them know that we could continue to be partners as the college, and we've done still some great things together, but seeing that there were problems there that I could no longer ignore, that we're not serving our students well, we're not serving our faculty well, had to go have that uncomfortable conversation that I felt really my integrity radar was going off and saying this is something I absolutely have to do. I will say on the police side, there's tremendous opportunities there to see some of their most people that have incredible integrity. Every day you're engaged with all sorts of activity. I'll say as a police officer, you know exactly where the sin is and never partake, as they say. I've had to talk with, gain confessions from people, sit and talk comfortably with people. And when I sit and talk with, I will say suspects, I always make them feel respected though. Nobody wants to feel disrespected ever. And everybody in life deserves a second chance. In fact, oftentimes at our colleges, we do a lot of things based on second chance. We serve a lot of students coming for a second chance. And I think it's really important in life that you see people as humans. We're humans first. I'll say that I knew a police officer that was doing some really bad things, was intimidating others, and had to turn that person in, because that's what we do. That's an honor code. That's what's expected. Our ethics expect that from us, and we serve others, and people expect that from us. Our community expects us to be of integrity. A lot of it gets back to trust, though. What I heard from you, though, is you lost a lot of trust in that person. And you can lose that trust instantly, and trust comes from nurturing relationships and caring, really our values of who we are. Had many opportunities. I can remember an instance where a young woman had stolen many, many items from a grocery store, and the manager insisted that she be arrested. And when I looked in the backpack, it was baby formula. That was tough. They want her to go to jail for stealing baby formula because she couldn't afford that for her own child. And we decided we weren't going to do that. That was not helping a person grow. We actually, a couple officers and I, helped pay for some of that, and actually helped her with assistance instead of her being placed under arrest. Now, we certainly had to talk about theft and whatnot, but we certainly have been challenged that way as well. So we do everything with integrity first. There's no doubt, there's no question, and we're challenged every day about. We have many, many conversations, and these are conversations we should have as a community college. Is that representative of our mission, vision, and values? If we have to make this really tough decision, is that representative? How do we feel about that? Does that test our integrity? It's okay to say that it does. We need to be at that level to have those honest conversations. So I had many instances, and I'll say a model for me has always been my father. My father was a manufacturer, worked in a steel mill, a guy that just never stopped working, and he just told me all along, you just keep growing every day. He was a guy who made sure that I was going to go to college, just as kind-hearted man as you could ever imagine. And he just absolutely made sure that my brothers and I always did the right thing. And growing up, made sure that he lived that, and that you always took care of others first and have a selfless attitude, and that everybody in life is created as equals. But we do come across those challenges of integrity every day, and we get the opportunity to show that we have integrity, especially in the positions that we're in today at our college.
Dr. Mandrell, we're really glad to have you here with us this afternoon, and I appreciate the time that you were able to spend visiting with the folks in Smyrna this morning. My name is Jeremy Mills, and I'm the Director of Student Recruitment here at Motlow. As President, should you be given that opportunity, you would have the ability to analyze and review our organizational structure as a college and determine if any changes are needed. Can you share with us how you would go about that analysis, how you would assess any needed changes, and what your timeline would be for a process like that?
Sure. So the question is how would I go about assessing the current organizational structure and a timeline, and how I would go about if any changes if I felt were necessary. I just want to say right from the beginning, every college's organizational structure is different, and it's often built on their strengths. What do they do best? So the first thing I'm going to look at is students. How are we serving students? How are we creating a great student experience? How are we growing every day? How are our people receiving professional development? How are they better yesterday and going to be better tomorrow? That's really important. So I will say that when you look at an organizational structure, you can sometimes look at them and say, why does that happen over there? Well, that's probably what works best for that school. Maybe that particular person has a background in that, has a sort of an affinity for that particular area, so it serves students really, really quite well. So when I look at that, the way I would go about it is just really intensive conversation about what do you think of this model, where should we go with it, and then really looking at not just where it's at today. We know one of our greatest challenges in higher education is that we are ever evolving. We are changing institutions, and it's a cool thing, and we change rapidly. So I often say to people who don't like change, you work at a community college, I am sure at some level you do like change okay, because we're either legislated to change, student learners are changing us, amazing things of change are happening, and it's something to embrace. So when I look at an organizational structure and a chart, I look at what should it look like tomorrow. So I gave an example of online learning. If we have so many students in online learning, what are we doing to back that up? And how are we making sure that our teams are mobile and that they feel good coming to work every day? And I want to make sure that we're providing for the students, but again, it's really important that we have this beautiful balance in our lives. And I often say, I work a lot because I just love what I do. And finding balance in our life can be pretty tough, but we can find harmony. We want people to feel great about the work that they do. So are we serving students? Is there any area here that we are lacking on? And then how do we build the absolute best for our students? There's tough decisions to be made there, but we'll do it together. It's a shared vision. It's really sitting down and looking at what does tomorrow's organizational structure look like that also serves today? And some of that should be shaped by our students. Bring students to the table for every opportunity that you can. I've been through 3 remodels recently on our campus, and one of the greatest things I ever did in those remodels was ask students how something should be built. It's fascinating when they tell you that something shouldn't be there. That's not how I would come into the door to that. You can't put that office there. I think you should put that maybe over here. It's a phenomenal piece of data you want. But then right there, you've got this shared governance model at your institution that's built on relationships, talking immensely about how does it work for us, how does it work for the students, how do we create that beautiful piece together? And the organizational chart starts with that. Do we have people in our institution that want to grow? That's really important. When I look at budgets, I think about professional development, making sure that we're, of course, always serving the student, but that we're growing too. We have tremendous talent on our campuses, and they will advance. We want them to advance, and we want them to advance with us. So succession planning is really important. Do any of you have areas in your college where you think if that person leaves, oh my, we're going to have a problem there? How do we ever fulfill that? That's a very common conversation at a college. Who wants to be the next person? Who's our next leader? And it's not just a leader in our college. We want them to be a leader in our community as well. So there might be professional development that's unique to that organizational structure, but how do we make them be a good steward of our community? That's what we look for. And those people will appear. One thing I say about on our campus, if you want to be great on our campus, you'll be great fast, and we'll see it. you can shine because we're a great team together. I have to say, Jeremy has the same sweater that I have, and I commented on that this morning. I think I have 4 of those sweaters. I have one that's purple, and every time I wear it, somebody always says, "Is that new?" And I say, "No, but if I just keep people thinking it's new, that's great too." My wife pointed it out too. She goes, "He has your sweater." And I said, "Well, it's not really mine, but..." Humor, that's another thing that's really important, by the way. I like to infuse humor into anything. I can tell you all kinds of funny stories.
Dr.
We have a
Mandrell.
question on the Smyrna campus as well. We don't already have one.
Go ahead.
Let's go on Smyrna.
Dr. Mandrell, in your current role, how do you unify the divisions of academic affairs and student services? And what do you bring to Motlow to help us be better?
Okay, so that's actually a little bit of my current role. Let me repeat the questions. How do you unify the divisions of academics and student services? That's really my current role. It's one of the ways in which I became into the role was that opportunity to do that. And the way we do it is a shared vision. I know I've said that a lot, but it's true. And that vision is our students. And it's really getting to know each other and having those honest conversations and talking often with each other. It's an amazing thing when you get people together for a good duration of time in which they come to know each other. There's perceptions of each other that we may not realize. I gave an example this morning, and you will all be able to understand this. When your phone lights up with a certain caller ID and it's a name and it's a person that you just know, it's going to be your challenge today. That person only calls you when times are tough, right? And sometimes it's not always pleasant. We know that. And you all just thought of somebody, didn't you? Yeah, so you get it. It's important you nurture relationships with those people. Your biggest challengers, talk with them often. Don't let the time that you talk together only be the time of crisis and tough conversation. So I have a person on my campus, when they call me, it's tough. I know that when that phone rings, I'm answering because it's going to be a tough one and we need to address it together. But I make sure that I have a relationship with that person outside of that phone call. So they may never come to my office and talk much with me. They may not ask me how my weekend was or how my fantasy football team is or whatnot. But I go to that person often, and I make sure that, you know, if this person's got illness in their family, I talk with them and I say, "How are you doing? How are things? Tell me about how's your mother?" These things. It nurtures relationships. I think that's really important, that we know each other as humans first, because that's how we're serving our students too. They see us as humans, as kind, caring, personal touch people, making sure we have an institution of that. So it's, again, about trust and relationships, and talk to each other about how the right hand should talk to the left hand. So I'll give you an example. I've created beautiful programs in academics that I just say, "Ooh, perfect, I love that. That's going to work well." And then we get it downstairs to the next level, and we keep going down further and further, and we look around our charts, and then we just get, wow, we get blown up by something. We've misfired on things like financial aid, registration. You always want to make sure that students, when they go to enroll in this program, it is comfortable, seamless. We help them. They're not going to run into snags at the front door with a program that doesn't make sense. So you make sure you take the time, slowly but surely, if at anything the relationships build there, and never ever inform people of surprises unless it's good news. You know, bad news should not be a surprise. You know, make sure you're always nurturing those relationships and you're bringing people to the table to talk more and more with you. Example of that was, you know, our ag program, like I said, our mechanics and our manufacturing programs, we bring people in and they tell us things like employers will tell us, this program has to have a class on this. This is really important for us. So we as a community college, it's servant leadership. We should be responding to that and hearing that. So I have to build a class, work with the faculty, and then make sure on the student services side particularly that it meets financial aid requirements, that it meets accreditation requirements. So never forget, when you think of one person you need to talk to, there's another one and another one. It's a good thing. And then your accreditors, it's another, she got up and left, but we were talking about accreditation, making sure that it meets accreditation requirements too. It is one big machine, and it's a beautiful thing when you're done because of how it serves the students and the relationships that you built there in the midst of it.
Dr. Mandrell, my name is Kyle Macon. I'm a completion coach here on the Moore County campus. I have a two-part question. First, what about Motlow appealed to you and drew you to decide that you wanted to be a candidate here? And the second thing, what would you do in your first 6 months if selected?
So the question was why Motlow, basically, for me, and what would I do in the first 6 months? It's kind of that your first 100 days type question, right? The presidential candidates get. Why Motlow? Well, I look at the amazing things going on at this college and the progressiveness, and I look at the opportunity to have a great opportunity to move my family in and have wonderful relationships, and it's a great fit for my wife as well. When I look at the college, it's very progressive. It's a real comforting fit for me. I know what kind of leader I am. I have to lead in a college and a community where I know people. It was the same type of person I was as a police officer. I like to know the people that I'm dealing with regularly, and I like to know their problems. I like to hear about their families. That's really important to me. I think it's important to be able to have those relationships. A large school would not be a good fit for me. I like to be, right now I work at a college, it's about 2,500 to 3,000 students, roughly, is where we typically stand, and that allows me to do what I believe is what I find to be the most fulfilling, is to get to know people and to walk in and know everyone. That's important to me, to know the faculty, to know the students first, to get to know everybody in the community. I'm on 4 boards right now in our community. It's probably too many, but that's a great problem. I like to be on too many. So I'm on the YMCA board, I'm on the Chamber of Commerce, I'm a president-elect of our Rotary Club in our community, and then a couple years ago our president and some community leaders started what's called our Community Leadership Program, where you work with local community professionals who are about to take that next step into leadership anywhere across your community. So I see a great opportunity here to be not only right on the cutting edge of academics with a great group of people with relationships, but I see a great opportunity to engage the community and a wonderful place for my wife and 2 daughters. My daughters are 10 and 8 years old, and they're at that point where they're starting to become adults. I hate to say that. Boy, I got to tell you, nobody prepared me for any of this stuff. I grew up with all boys. You know, a couple months back, my 10-year-old says to me, "Dad, I'm ready." And I'm thinking about all these things that people tell you about raising girls. And I said, "Ready?" And I'm thinking cell phones, boys, cars. And she says, "Permanent markers." And I said to my wife, "Kelly, sit down, we can do this." Permanent markers? Yes. So they're coming to that age where we're at a great intersection, my wife and I, with her degree and her professional career and my kids, where a move is comfortable for us and to a community that fits us. You will not find me ever applying for any positions that are not good fits for me. I'm very strategic in that way about making sure that goodness of fit is for me, and that the opportunities there are great for my family. And I care immensely about your families. I think I've said that, I can't say that enough. The work we do with our families, we are a family here at a community college, and I have embraced that for my entire life. When times are tough, we go to bat for our people, even in their most personal, tough times in a personal life. So it's what we do, and I'm able to see that and that comfort level here. Spent the last 2 days here with my wife. It's been incredible. In fact, I found myself looking next to myself the last couple days because she's been beside me. We're usually quite so busy, and then now she's not beside me, and I've got this anxiety. Where did she go? And we've just, the hospitality has just been phenomenal down here, and having came to Tennessee so many times with my brother living in Jackson, it's just been a wonderful place to raise a family, a great place to lead a community college. I have an unbelievable amount of energy, if you haven't noticed yet, and I love to talk to people, and I see that ability to do that. And so I was very careful about where I applied, and this particular opportunity stood out. Being president isn't about the president. It's really about positioning others and growing others and caring. That's really what matters to me, and I see that opportunity here.
Okay, we've got about 5 or 6 more minutes. We want to see if anybody remotely has a question. Anyone? We've got time for one more in the room, and then we're going to give Dr. Mandrell a couple of minutes to kind of summarize. So anybody else in the room?
How's the semester going? I'd love to hear. What are you most proud of? You know, I'm really excited about all the great things going on here at the college. Go ahead.
I'm asking a question.
Okay.
Hello, Dr. Mandrell. I'm John McVeigh. I'm a student here at the Moore County campus. Good to meet you, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
And I have a few asks is, how long do you intend to work for Motlow?
That's a very good question. That's a great question. You all should have thought, I'm going to ask him that. Because I've watched presidential searches. I will say I've been watching presidential searches since I was even a kid. I've been fascinated by, leadership in the community college. And that's a topic that I think is really important because community colleges are built on trust and relationships. That's a huge part of the student experience and the employee experience. And what we do is our mission and our vision and our values is trust and relationships. As I said before, one of the reasons I'm excited about Motlow is the opportunity for those relationships and building and being a part of the team with you all. I believe that you work with a president, not for a president. So when I think about how long would I stay, for me it's long term. I'm not interested in moving my wife or children. I'm really interested in seeing them get acclimated, get settled in. We are a fun family, and I would not want them to, get settled in, be a part of. We are somewhere different every night with my children, and you never miss dance class, by the way. My wife tells me you can be late to some things, you don't miss dance. So I see those opportunities here for my kids. I would want to make sure they get fully integrated here, and I would not want to leave because losing relationships would be leverage for all of us. It's just like right now. Look at your department right now. When you lose a wonderful key person, when you lose them, it's a setback for sometimes years. When we lose a great faculty member, sometimes the program goes with it. I would never wish that upon any college, and I struggle to think that sometimes colleges say, we'd only like a leader for 3 to 5 years. Why? I don't understand that. But really, you want somebody who's going to be there, work with all constituents of the college, enhance the college, have those relationships, and really challenge each other and grow the college as one, and have it be just an awesome, amazing place for a student and the employees as well. That's key to me. So would I go anywhere? No. And that was a part of my decision making too, is it's got to be a place where my wife and I and our 2 daughters can get settled in. And don't forget about the chocolate lab. He's also a great part of the family too. I've got to make sure he's comfortable, and he is. So that's very key. And stability. I will say this, as community colleges, we're all in this together. If we never see each other again after this, which I hope we do, never stop doing the amazing work that you're doing. We're all doing this across our nation. And with 2/3 of our nation's students in community colleges, that's an awesome, awesome thing. And we do that because of the personal touch. Your very being here today is what we do very well in a community college, is uniting. So never forget that. And we do that by staying, and we do that by seeing generations of families come to our college. That's what I love too. I love seeing banners on our college walls that talk about success. This student went here and this is where they're at now, making it inescapable student success in our college. That's amazing. Have you ever stumbled across a student in your community like every day and they tell you about something amazing they're doing now and you just think we've got to get you on a banner or a billboard somewhere? We are saturated with student success, and I love it. And we do that because of our relationships that we have and the trust that our community has for us.
All right, 2 minutes. Give us the big close.
2 minutes. I will talk like an auctioneer. I think I've said a lot about who I am today. Again, who I am is not, it's really not about the position of the title. It's really about working with you. We've got amazing things going on here at Motlow. Some of the building projects are incredible. I see the opportunity to really sharpen my skills and jump into that with you. We're all about students. Let's never forget that. Sometimes when I talk with some of my colleagues, I think, never forget about what we do here. We make some really tough decisions. They're hard decisions, but they benefit a lot of people, and they benefit our students. I've lived my life dedicated to community college, my wife and I as well. We are a total community college family built on relationships and trust and really engaging the community. And I would love to have the opportunity to be a part of that with you all. You've done some amazing things here. Just look at never ever lose the opportunity to take a look around and see the difference you make every day here. The growth is tremendous. That is a great thing. You are a place that people are going to. I'm an example of that here today. A wonderful place for faculty, staff, administration, and our students to have a life-changing experience, and one that is about lifelong learning. I love that about our colleges. We're access to all. We do amazing things for all. whether you're here for credit or non-credit. My wife tells me I need to take a dancing class. It's hurting her, she said. I got to get my dancing moves together better at weddings. So it's amazing what we do. Been dedicated, and I'm all about unity, and I'm all about relationships. Never ever forget, again, just the incredible work we do here every day and where you're going. And I'd love to be a part of that with you, and it comes to working together. So thanks for having me today. If I get any more chance to talk with you, or you have any other questions, I'd love to talk with you more. I wish I could be sort of teleported and be in the rooms with these other three, but I was not today. So thanks for tuning in today. It's been a wonderful experience. Thank you for all your hospitality being here. And again, we're all in this together, and keep doing the amazing work that you're doing with our students here in our country, and keep doing everything you can for our community colleges, and keep uniting with others. It's an amazing thing that we do, and there's nothing like it. So thanks.
Thanks, John. Before we go off, those of you remote, those of you in the room, those of you listening by webcast, please get online and do the survey. We really need your feedback. So thanks a lot again to everyone.
Thank you.
Good job.